Well, I really can't get much of a better focus, so I'm going to go ahead and start taking these screws out. You can see that these clips allow the screws to tighten, bringing the turntable into place. So, one screw. Let me grab my forceps here to get the clip. You can see that. Oh, let me put on another light up here. Okay. Rotate the turntable to get the other screw out. Put my finger there to catch the... Sorry guys, it's kind of hard to take pictures of this from all directions at the same time. Second screw comes out. Grab the clip, my forceps. Okay, and at this point I'm going to move the camera around here so you can see where the screws went. You can see them there, and there. Okay, so let me reposition the camera. Go ahead and the turntable will just pull off. Basically what I ended up having to do here, because like I had said before, this machine had been out in the elements for a long time, is the bearing here had been pretty much cemented on. So I had to apply some heat judiciously with a heat gun in this area to try to get the bearing loosened up. So I'm trying to find a screwdriver here again to try to continue to get it loose. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Finally. Well, may need a bigger screwdriver than the one I got, but I think not. Here we go. Well, this was a bit of work to get this off. Alrighty then. Well, like I said, I'm probably going to have to get a bigger screwdriver here to... There we go. No, not quite yet. There we go. Come on. Come on, almost out. Almost out. Well, this guy's just really not wanting to give it up real easy, is it? Of course, I've got a small screwdriver in my hand, and I need to find a bigger one. Okay, applied a little more heat, found a bigger screwdriver. It's there in front of me all the time, of course. And it's going to probably pop right off now. Yep, there we go. Little more heat, little leverage, and voila, we have a turntable removed. Alrighty then. Okay, so as long as I have this out here now, I'm going to move the camera back a little bit. As long as I have this out, I'll go ahead and lower the camera down, and I'll go ahead and clean up the bearings. And you can see here the rubber grommets that I've spoken to on the inside. These have to be removed, and the new rubber grommets put in with the long areas facing out. Well, I put this back on so the wires don't stretch. Remember I told you could actually pull it out far enough that you didn't have to take it back, and I advised that you don't do that. I just wanted to put it back where the wires are not under stress so you can see that in fact the turntable can come completely off under these circumstances. So you can see there that at this point the turntable is completely off and could be walked out, and this wire never put under stress. Well, okay, we're back now to reassembly. Now, as I explained to you, the grommets that we started out to replace are these rubber grommets here. Where did my pointer go? Are these rubber grommets here, which you can pull out and replace with new rubber grommets. As I explained, the rubber grommets are both in the stepped and non-stepped variety. This is the stepped variety, as you can see, and it's important to know that the small end goes out. So they fit like this. Okay? Now there's going to be a lot of clearance when you put it on. I'm sorry, not a lot of clearance. There's going to be a lot of extra rubber which will compress to hold it in place. So let me go ahead and put the turntable back on. Now I will tell you that while it was off, these bearings were fairly darn frozen. So I went ahead, they're ball bearings. I went ahead, of course, and used some lacquer thinner to, to loosen them up, clean them fairly well in place with rags and lacquer thinner, and then put a light coat of oil on them so they can spin freely, as well as cleaning the outside. Okay, so here we go. We go ahead, fit the turntable back in, and line these drive pins up with the bushings. So let me go ahead so you can see that. The drive pins line up with the bushings, and then we proceed to go ahead and to fit the turntable on into the bushings. As I said, there will be a much snug fit with new rubber bushings, but because this is a spare mechanism, I didn't want to waste my bushings I had. All right, at this point, it's all about putting the screws back in and starting reassembly. Don't know that there's much to say about the reassembly. Everybody has their own way to do it. What I tend to do is, once again, it's going to be a little bit harder for me because the camera's in front of me. But I will start with my screw. Put the screw in. You can see how it fits there. And you can see the screw as it comes in. Let me move the camera again. And these fit with the lip over the edge. And basically, I find that I can kind of just hold it with my finger, and I know, of course, my finger is in the way. But usually I can find a way to make it work with my fingers. If not, of course, I could use my forceps to hold them in place. Well, I got one in use. No, I didn't. All right. Keep at it here for a second. I do believe... Oh, no! It fell. Well, alrighty then. It is basically a... it's always a bit of a struggle. Whoops! To not drop things, and of course that's a major issue for all of us. Once again, keep trying. You keep at it, you'll get it done. I feel the screw coming through. That time it's right. So you can see that this thing basically holds on the tip. It holds the turntable onto the bearing from behind. So you go ahead and just tighten it in, move it around to expose the other screw, and repeat the process. All right, and you can see that it overlaps. This piece of metal overlaps the bearing, holds it in place. At this point, we just tighten them down, so it's held in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and reiterate what I said. When you use these stepped bushings, the rubber actually extends quite a bit, and when you tighten these screws down, pulling the turntable onto the bearing, this part will squash and it will form quite a tight steel. You're going to have to go back and forth. All right, at this point the turntable is reestablished and we're ready to just reverse everything that we've done. All right, I don't know that I need to do that on video. It's just kind of going back with what we talked about. But I think I will make a comment about putting the roll pin back in. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off now and turn it back around so we can start that process. So we're back here to put the roll pin back in place into the brake cam and into the shaft. So what I start with, when I start to get a roll pin, particularly one that I've used before, I'll go ahead and I will bevel the edges, kind of just narrow them down a little bit because they may have been flattened in the process of being put in initially. So I did that, and I'll oil it, and I kind of got it started. Well, now's the problem of lining up the roll pin with the hole. So what I tend to do is I have spare roll pins, is I basically then go ahead and engage the clutch. And often what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll put a slightly smaller roll pin in the back to make sure that things are lined up. They certainly appear to be at this point. So what I will do is I'll do that. Kind of leave it a little bit at an angle. And then go ahead and get started. Now, one should use a roll punch. Unfortunately, I don't have a big enough one. I have like 3 or 4 of them, but none of mine are big enough for this particular utility here. But one should use a roll punch that covers the pin, that covers the roll pin, and then slowly just start to drive the pin in. Well, it's probably going to take a little bit of doing. But there's really no magic to it. It's just a question of getting it started and getting it going. Whoops. So, don't really think I need necessarily to show you this process, other than just take it slow, try not to bend the pin. Okay, the roll pin's back in place, and I think we can call this a day. Now it's just a question of putting the clamp on back on to the stripper plate and putting the pickup assembly back in place, which I've already talked about. All right, everybody, let me know if I have any questions, and sorry for my misspeaking along the way. Bye.